So we'll be doing Herbert Spencer from my notes that I've made. Now let's talk about the background of Herbert Spencer. He was born in 1820. Um, he never went to school, so essentially he was homeschooled by his uncle and dad, who had a very good understanding of science. Therefore, he had no formal education, and since his uncle and dad had um, grounding in biology, so therefore he also had an interest or formulated an interest in biology. Then later he went on to become a civil engineer. I don't know how to add civil engineer. In 1837, and then in 1848 he became uh, he was taken as the editor of the famous journal. He was appointed as the editor of the famous journal, The Economist. Now, he usually was considered to be a very conservative thinker, but in this The Economist, he was a supporter of free market economy, which essentially also known as laissez-faire. This essentially free market economy meant that the government should not interfere in markets. We'll talk more about it when I'll be explaining myself, George Ritzer from George Ritzer. Then he right. So what happened later was, so he got an immense wealth from inheritance from his uncle, and so what he did was, because of this inheritance, he gave up his job and became a private scholar. Now, as you can see, that he thought a couple of things. There's synthetic philosophy. Biology propounded principle of survival of the fittest. Now, survival of the fittest essentially was, I believe it was borrowed from the Darwin theory and is influenced by his biology background. Then, so yeah, synthetic philosophy, then shift to psychology, where it is principles of psychology. Then in sociology, he thought of principles of sociology. Then um, he he mentioned that by around 1860, 90% of the British population was above poverty lines. Like they were quite rich at the time, by around 1860, because of industrialization, capitalist economy. So what happened was, everyone thought of progress. Now, here it's mentioned that the capitalist shared more with co-workers. Now, sharing with co-workers is a very good thing, right? So that's one good thing about the British population. But this was not just a motive to, since they were good people, but there's another motive as well. So, which is that since they helped their co-workers, there was an improvement in the economy. Now, everyone has self-interest, but although yeah, this one was for a good thing. And due to this, because the capitalists shared with their co-workers, shared things with their co-workers, shared the money with co-workers, this also decreased the poor-rich disparity. Then he talks about the fact that there was a lot of foreign trade happening, and the navy of the British Navy was invincible, right? Which is also evident when the British Navy came to India. Right, so you can see a parallel. We can draw a parallel with history here. Now, he also admired Adam Smith, which we'll be learning later, I believe. He read Darwin. Well, see, that's the Darwin's evolution theory. That's the biology aspect. Um, and so it's mentioned that he had a lot of good connections with British civil servants and naval officers, which helped him in the collection of data, actually. So it's like he didn't have any first-hand collection of data, but rather what he heard from these civil servants, naval officers. This was because of the earlier we mentioned that he had immense wealth, which was left by his uncle, and because of which he was able to attend all these fancy events where these officers were there. So that's how he collected his data. Anyways, this also means that his collection of data was not first hand but rather second hand. Now, uh, then he talks about what does he talk about? The reality is governed by cosmic law, the law of evolution. Again, biology aspect of it here. Then he tells us that all forms of existence come into an evolutionary process. Again, oh, he's mentioning about. So yeah, here. Anyways, let's move on. Organic and superorganic evolution. So here again, the he's affected by biology, and is combining sociology and biology, which is a good thing. Uh, so he talks about organic evolution, which culminated to superorganic or social evolution. Organic is a human being, or rather how humans evolved, how animals evolved in the biological sense. And superorganic here refers to social evolution, how organic evolution led to social evolution. Yeah, so here I've also mentioned here that superorganic also means social or societal. Now, sociology, according to him, is the scientific study of superorganic evolution, also known or social evolution. So, according to him, sociology is a scientific study of social evolution. Again, evolution, back to biology. Now, while he's mentioning evolution, he means that it's a gradual and spontaneous process. Um, this also means that it's unplanned and this means that if it's a gradual and spontaneous process, that means it's unplanned and it's uncoordinated. Now, he mentions here differentiation and integration concept, which can be seen its effect in division of labor. Now, well, I'm aware of the differentiation concept and integration concept, so I'm not gonna dwell more into it. Um, Alright, so he mentions that as now differentiation and integration, what happens is this differentiation, so the parts are separated from each other. But he also mentions that all these differentiated parts should be integrated into one. Now, because this particular thing, the separated differentiated parts should be integrated into one, uh, he's mentioning, he tells that this improves adaptation upgrading. Okay, I do not see how it improves adaptation upgrading, but anyways. Okay, so he mentions about the internal and external factors of evolution. The internal is growth of population, and external is change of environment. Right. So, evolution. So evolution is caused due to growth of population. That makes sense. That's a biological aspect. Then the external, that's the internal reason. Internal factor. The external factor is a change of environment. Now, when he says change of environment, he doesn't mean it in a biological sense that there's evolution of the surroundings or the things happening, like movement of whatever in a geographical way, but rather he's talking about the relations with other societies. The relations with other societies is also there was is an external factor to evolution. How things moved forward, also depending on its relation with the other societies. Okay, that's pretty much it. I'll I'll read it again. I'll just give it I'll give it a summary. So he was born in 1820. Then he was homeschooled. He was interested in biology. He became editor in the famous journal Economist, which supported free market economy. Then he gave up his job because of because he got inheritance and became a private scholar. Uh, then he talks about these theories, which are uh, biology, propounded principle of survival of fittest, shift to psychology, synthetic philosophy, principles of psychology, principles of sociology. Then he talks about the fact that in 1860, which is what, 18, 20, 40, 40 years after when he was around 40 years old, uh, all these people were helping each other. There was less poor rich disparity. Then foreign trade was increasing, and the British Navy was invincible. Then he had second-hand data collection because he got his data from these officers that he met. Then he talks about organic evolution and superorganic evolution. He says that sociology is the scientific study of superorganic evolution. Um, that is, sociology is a scientific study of the social evolution. Social evolution means that it's a gradual, okay, evolution means it's a gradual and spontaneous process, that's fine. Then he talks about differentiation and integration, where this particular aspect, adaptation, upgrading, I did not understand. I'll have to think about it. This one is fine. That's it. Now, okay, that's all.